Hi all and welcome to Sunday Snack. Today we've got something a little bit different which I hope you guys will enjoy. So today we're going to do two things. We're going to tell a story from Acts chapter 3 and then we're going to think about what it means for us. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff ready. Let's dig into the story. Now, the story starts with Jesus, of course. So we've got a J with a crown, reminding us that Jesus has died and he's come back to life and he's God's resurrected King, and he made a promise. He made a promise to spread the word about him everywhere and to grow his church. Jesus has made the promise to grow his church, and this is the story of a small part of how he did that. So, who are our characters? Well, our first character is John. There's John. And our second character is Peter. There's Peter. Let's put him there. So these are our characters. We've got John and we've got Peter. And they are preaching. They are preaching that Jesus is God's King. That Jesus is the resurrected King and that he's growing his church. So they're there and they're preaching. And they even did a miracle where there was a man who couldn't walk and they healed him. And they're preaching, but then people got angry with them. People got angry with them for what they were saying. People didn't like the message that Jesus is God's resurrected King. So here's the people that got angry. They were the Pharisees. The Pharisees got angry. And they were the Jewish pastors and priests. And so they're going like this, boo! We don't like the message that Peter and John are preaching. And so do you know what they did? They got angry. They didn't like this message. And so what they actually did was they got a jail. They got a nice big soldier. There you go. There's the soldier. And they actually chucked Peter and John in jail. So let me put that there. And let's put these guys in there. They chucked them in jail. That's how angry they were with this message that Jesus is the King. But remember, Jesus had made a promise that he was going to grow his church. And so what happened? The next day, they've been in jail the whole night. The next day, the Pharisees, they take them out of jail and they talk to them. They talk to Peter and John. And they say to them, by whose authority are you preaching and healing people? Who says you can do this? We want you to stop. We want you to stop doing this or we're going to chuck you back in jail. And do you know what Peter and John say? Remember, Jesus promised to grow his church. And people are already believing, and now he's going to help his preachers answer this challenge. And they said, who are we going to listen to? Who are we going to listen to? We listen to the resurrected Jesus. He died. You Jews, you killed him, but he's back from the dead. We're going to listen to him, and he tells us to grow his church. So we're going to trust him, and we're going to keep on preaching. And so the Pharisees, they didn't know what to do about this. So they chucked John and Peter back in prison, back in jail, and they thought about this some more. They said, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to stop this message? And they decided, okay, we're just going to tell them to stop talking about Jesus. That's what they decide. So they take them back out of prison. And they say, Oaks, you got to stop. You got to stop talking about Jesus. You got to stop it, or we're going to throw you in prison again. And they made a whole bunch of threats. But Peter and John, by the power of the Holy Spirit, with Jesus who helped to grow his church, they said, who are we going to listen to? Who are we going to listen to? Are we going to listen to Jesus? Or are we going to listen to you and your threats? And then they went off. They left the Pharisees. And do you know what they did? They went back to all the other disciples and they got together and they prayed. They prayed to Jesus. And they said, Jesus, give us the strength. Ooh, there we go. They prayed, got down on their knees. There we go. And there we go. They got down on their knees and they prayed. They prayed to Jesus saying, Jesus, give us the strength to keep trusting you and to tell people about you boldly. Give us the strength to keep telling people that you are alive and you are the King. Help us to be bold, to say it loudly and proudly. That's what they asked for. And then all of God's people that had been saved, they started sharing all that they had with each other. And they were one people united around Jesus, who had died and come back from the dead. And this is how Jesus, in a small way, kept his promise to grow his church. And he's still doing that today. He's still doing that today. And so now let's think about this. Let's think about this for us today. And you guys are a bit older, so I've got a bit of a bigger challenge for you today. Just 2 things I want you to do as a family. Jesus made the promise that he's going to grow his church. So the challenge for you guys today is, as a family, grab a pen and some paper and write down the names of 10 people that you are going to tell about Jesus every week. Whether it's praying for them, sending them the sermon, sending them this video, whatever it is, write down the names of 10 people that you're going to tell about Jesus. Do that as a way of trusting that Jesus is going to grow his church. That's the first thing. And the second thing, next to their names, write down a plan. What are you going to do? How are you going to tell them about Jesus? How are you going to do that? Are you going to send them the link of the sermon? Are you going to send them the link for this video or Wacky Wednesdays? Or are you going to pray for them? You're going to send them Bible verses. Write down a plan of how you're going to tell them about Jesus every week. Because we want to be trusting Jesus' promise that he's going to grow his church. Isn't it amazing? Yes, it's awesome, guys. Let's be a part of Jesus growing his church. It's so cool. So, guys, that's all from me and from my Lego. And I hope that you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you on Wednesday for Wacky Wednesdays. See you guys.